Entitled mother demanded my plane seat on my redeployment from Iraq. This happened in 2006. I was in the U.S. Air Force and redeployed individually to Iraq, not with a unit. At the end of my rotation, I also took the rotator back by myself. It was a commercial 747 the military paid to take a bunch of us to the U.S. Back then, we typically wear our uniforms even on the commercial flights. The guy in the seat next to me was similarly redeploying and also in his uniform. This was usually never a problem because Americans were typically very kind to servicemen in their uniforms in public. I can't say how it is now because that was a long time ago. We had a layover in Ramstein, Germany, and civilians began boarding. These were mostly wives, children, and other dependents of those deployed to Europe. It had to be obvious those of us already on the plane were coming back from deployment. We were in desert-patterned camo, glassy-eyed from mental and physical fatigue, and generally stunk of burn pit. Well, this woman with a baby comes right up to my seat and announces that we are in her seats. The other guy needs to move too because she wants to put her kid there. We were both kind of blurry and just stared at her in surprise. I didn't care where I sat, but the stewardess hurries over and says the flight is full and they can't reseat us. The woman shoves her ticket in the stewardess's face and says it clearly shows my seat number on her ticket. She wants to kick me and my seatmate off the flight. Are you kidding me? Clearly, she was more entitled to it than us. She flips her poop right in the middle of the plane and goes off on the stewardess. I stayed seated more out of shock than stubbornness. I've been awake for longer than I care to think about by that point, and I was not reacting quickly to anything. I guess my seatmate was in the same boat, because neither of us said a single word to her or moved a muscle at all. We just watched her make an ass butt out of herself of all these gawking passengers. She ended up getting herself kicked off the flight. In all, it happened rather quickly, but it still stunned me. The trip from Iraq to my home station was already going to be several days long, and she thought nothing of forcing me and that other guy off just for her convenience. I don't know why she popped in my head today, but I can't imagine being married to that. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and while you're here, why don't you go and subscribe to the YouTube channel? It's free and you can always cancel at any time. Now, without further ado, let's get straight into the next story. EM doesn't agree with my clothing style. Okay, so a little backstory. I am transgender and I've been wearing boy clothes since the first grade. This happened a long time ago and I must have been like 7 years old. Anyways, the story goes on like this. Me and my grandma were in the boys section looking at some clothes when an EM comes over, leaving her kid in the cart. EM, excuse me, but the girls section is over there. Now, so you know, my grandma was the sweetest lady I had ever met and was always nice, but I guess not this time. Who do you think you are? This is none of your business, and if my grandchild wants to shop here, then they have the right to leave, right to. Now leave, lady. The EM had like this look of shock on her face and was just dumbfounded for a second. She then proceeds to leave angrily with her child. We then continue shopping and I left with the coolest boy hoodie ever. Edit. I had no idea this would blow up. Thank you guys so much. Also, yeah, my grandma was incredible. She accepted me before my own parents, and I learned so many things from her. She was really my idol. She sadly passed away when I was in 7th grade, but I'm so glad she got to live on through this post. It really means a lot. Well, that was a good story, and let's get cracking on to the next one. That was a short one, but hey, it was good. That's my 3DS now. You gave it to me. I saw this subreddit and want to tell you my story here. This story takes place 5 years ago, and when I was 13. I was on a family vacation with both my parents, and we were staying in a hotel in Turkey. This hotel had a pretty big lounge with AC. Our room didn't have AC for some reason, so whenever I got bored from staying at the beach, I went to our room, got my 3DS, and went to enjoy both my 3Ds and a 3DS and AC at the lounge. After about 10 to 20 minutes of me playing on my 3DS, I noticed a kid, maybe 9 or 10, watch me playing right next to me. It felt a bit awkward to be watched like that from behind, so I asked him if he wanted to sit next to me and watch me play. After 10 minutes of him watching me play, he asked if he could play now. I was hesitant at first, but he kept insisting, so I let him play. He asked me if I had any other games, so I went up to our room and got 2 other games. When I came back, he wasn't on the couch anymore. He was standing next to his mom in front of the counter. They were probably checking him in, holding my 3DS in his hands. Now I felt really unsure because he was just going around with my 3DS in his hands, so I wanted to get it back in my hands. I asked him if he could give it back to me, but he just insisted that it's his now. Now I was really shocked to hear him say that just like that. So I went to his mom and asked her. After I was done explaining that her child won't give me back my 3DS, she told me that he said I gave it to him as a gift. Now I was really dumbfounded at her reaction and actually got really panicked because I thought I'm about to lose my 3DS now. Luckily, the woman at the counter saw me enough times playing on my 3DS in the lounge to know that it's in fact my 3DS. She told the mother to give me back my 3DS, and that's actually it. I wish I could tell you that she went on a crazy parade, that it's not fair or something like that, but I'm very happy that it wasn't so complicated back then. TLDR, kid tries to steal my 3DS and I luckily got it back. Well, OP, I think you handled that situation very nicely. No police were involved and no people were escorted out of the place, which I think you handled it pretty well. But anyways, I think that's gonna be it for this episode of r/entitled parents. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.